Have you ever walked through a forest and noticed that vibrant green carpet covering rocks and tree trunks? Or maybe you've seen those elegant, feathery plants unfurling in the shade? That's the magical world of mosses and ferns, two of the planet's most ancient plant groups. They've been around for hundreds of millions of years, long before the first flower ever bloomed. But have you ever wondered how they grow and spread without any flowers or seeds? It's a fascinating story, so let's dive in. Unlike the flowering plants we're used to, mosses and ferns have a unique and ancient way of reproducing. It all starts with something called spores. Think of spores as tiny, dust-like particles, much smaller and simpler than a seed. When the conditions are just right, usually damp, and shady, a mature moss or fern will release thousands, sometimes millions, of these spores into the air. They're so light they can travel for miles on the wind or be carried by water. Now, let's talk about moss first. When a moss spore lands in a suitable spot, say a damp rock or a patch of soil, it doesn't immediately grow into the fuzzy green moss you see. Instead, it germinates into a thread-like structure called a It looks a bit like a thin green algae. From this protonema, little buds will form, and these buds are what eventually grow into the leafy moss plants we all recognize. These moss plants don't have true roots like other plants. Instead, they have tiny hair-like structures called rhizoids that just anchor them to the surface. They absorb water and nutrients directly through their leaves, which is why they thrive in moist environments. So, you have your patch of moss. How does it make more spores? This is where it gets really interesting. Moss plants produce both male and female reproductive cells. The male cells need water. Even a tiny droplet of dew or rain is enough to swim over to a female cell on a nearby plant for fertilization. Once fertilization happens, a small stalk with a capsule on top grows out of the female plant. This capsule is the spore factory. When it matures, it dries out, opens up, and releases a new cloud of spores to start the cycle all over again. Now, what about ferns? They share the spore-based reproduction method, but with their own unique twist. When a fern spore lands in a moist, shady spot, it grows into a tiny, heart-shaped plantlet called a This little guy is usually no bigger than your pinky nail. Just like with moss, this prothallus is where the magic happens. It has both male and female parts. And again, water is essential. A drop of rain allows the male cells to swim to the female cells for fertilization. After fertilization, a new fern plant, the one we recognize with its beautiful leaves, called fronds, begins to grow right out of that tiny heart-shaped prothallus. As the new fern gets bigger, developing its own roots and fronds, the little prothallus withers away. Its job done. You've probably seen the classic fern fronds unfurling from a tight coil, which is called a This is the young frond growing and stretching out. Once this fern is mature, it will develop little dots or lines on the underside of its fronds. These are called sori, and they are packed with spore cases. When the time is right, these cases will burst open, releasing the next generation of spores into the wind. So, from a nearly invisible spore to a lush green carpet of moss or an elegant arching fern, the life cycle of these ancient plants is a testament to nature's ingenuity. They don't need fancy flowers or complex seeds, just a little bit of moisture and a whole lot of patience. Next time you're out on a walk, take a closer look at these humble giants of the plant world. They are a living link to a prehistoric Earth. Thanks for exploring the amazing world of mosses and ferns with me today. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and do not forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the wonders of nature. See you in the next one.